In the previous episode, we talked about the scientific explanation of psychic abilities in the context of modern physics. In the original materials that I have found, the next few topics continue to discuss this subject. But as the content does not differ significantly, I have skipped to the next main topic, which is the UFO and the famous Roswell incident. Now, let's listen to Lacerta's description of the event.
In the years between 1946 and 1953, there were 5 instances of extraterrestrial ships crashing on Earth. The famous Roswell incident was not the first, but actually the second and third crashes of 2 alien ships that collided in different parts of what you now know as the United States. These ships used a propulsion system that had advantages and disadvantages, but required the repelling field to be aligned at the correct angle to the Earth's magnetic field. The magnetic field of Earth is not very stable and fluctuates, causing the ships to crash when their field links up with an eddy that is too strong. The military recovered pieces of the crashed ships and classified them as top secret, hoping to analyze the alien technology for their own advantage. However, a bad accident occurred during research on one of the wrecks, resulting in the unintentional activation of a drive component that caused a plasma magnetic jolt that killed many scientists. 2 more crashes occurred in 1950 and 1953, and the species responsible for these ships came into contact with the government in the 1960s under the pretense of being curious researchers. They offered to show the functioning principle of their ships and received raw materials, access to secret defense data, and more in exchange. They gave false and inferior information about their technology and made the humans dependent on them. In the 1970s and 1980s, there were various events between the alien species and the human government, and it was discovered that they had been deceived. After a military altercation, the extraterrestrials withdrew from contact with humans and became hostile towards them. They are now preparing to achieve dominance over raw materials and human DNA through negative actions in the future. You may wonder if other extraterrestrial species will take action against the warlike actions on Earth. However, the truth is that for more highly developed species, Earth and its inhabitants are nothing but animals in a very large lab. Although an alien intervention on your planet would disturb their projects, they won't confront other species for it. They might look for another research planet or study your behavior and consciousness from a distance, since crisis situations have an attraction for their studies. Think of it this way: when you come across an anthill and someone steps on it, what do? You move on, search for another anthill, or observe the ants in their crisis condition. You must understand that for the more advanced creatures, you are the ants, and they won't help you. Some members of the human government are aware of our existence, and have had meetings with us in a partially underground building dedicated to our species. We have passed on information, but we will keep ourselves far away from the conflict. It's time to learn to solve your own problems or become intelligent enough not to create such situations. Only time will tell who will be on your side.
From these descriptions, it appears that the Roswell incident is real, and that humans were attempting to gain technology beyond modern capabilities from it. However, the situation eventually evolved into hidden conflict, and even involved the intervention of a third-party extraterrestrial race. Lacerta did not mention the race associated with the Roswell incident. So what is their hostility towards humans? If humans are just animals in a large laboratory, then wars like this seem unnecessary. Using various modern electronic devices for induction, utilization, and deception, similar to these mild methods, should be more efficient for extraterrestrial races to obtain benefits. But what do they want from humans? Is it to study human genes? If so, it also means that the power hidden in human genes is not understood even by extraterrestrial beings. Next, Oleg provided several photos for Lacerta to identify whether the flying objects in them belong to extraterrestrial races.
The 5 photos that I am about to claim ownership of were not found in the original file data. The question is whether any of them actually show genuine extraterrestrial aerial craft. While I'm no expert in alien technology or extraterrestrial ships, there are some technical details and peculiarities that can help differentiate genuine UFOs from natural phenomena or human forgeries. Out of the 5 pictures, 3 of them are obvious counterfeits or erroneous identifications, lacking important characteristics tied to the technically and physically associated field. The 4th picture shows no artificial objects in flight, but rather a light reflex in the optical camera. The last picture, however, seems to be genuine and displays necessary characteristics. It is metallic and disc-shaped, with white and long processes on the underside that portray quasi-gravitational light manipulation. This object is likely from an alien species that has been visiting our planet for the last 35 years or so. The triangular aerial object in flight, while genuine, is not extraterrestrial. It is a human concept built with the help of immature alien technology handed over during the 1960s and 1970s. Genuine extraterrestrial ships have a rounded-off form and are built without hard edges to allow the field to flow more easily. The triangular shape of this object is due to the incorporation of a conventional jet engine system along with the alien drive field, making it steerable with a primitive recoil principle. The reconstruction of the system in the triangular object makes it more unstable, and being unshielded in its vicinity can be very dangerous due to the powerful residual radiation. Many readers of the first transcript have posed the question of your original contact with EF came about. I already know the story from your narratives, but could you repeat it here once again for this volume and for the new transcript? I've been fascinated by your species and behavior since I was young. Back then, I read as much of your literature as possible, despite the difficulty of obtaining human books in my homeland. Fortunately, my group's high-ranking status allowed me to gather some material and speak with others of my kind who have had contact with humans. 2 of your years ago, in Sweden, I was finally allowed to come to the surface and immediately sought to gather more information about your species. However, it was forbidden for me to directly contact humans at the time because it was not necessary for my position. In 1998, I was on my way back from the remote forests near the entrance to my world. I was looking for biological specimens to monitor the environmental pollution and destruction caused by your kind to your flora and fauna. As I approached a large lake, I came across a cabin in the woods where I sensed a human consciousness, EF. Although I had no permission to make contact with another species, I had set up my mimicry capability and knocked on the door out of curiosity. We had an interesting conversation, even though his language was not yet common to me at that time. I simply told him that I came from a foreign country in the East, and he was convinced he was talking to a creature of his own kind. During my assignment to investigate the terrain, I visited him 3 times over several days, mainly talking about ordinary things at first, but later discussing religious and physical topics. EF was impressed by my knowledge, and I was impressed with his clear thoughts and well-displayed personality structure and opinions. I steered the conversation towards public opinions and conditioning, which led EF to state that he believed in alien species and that they did not have to be evil, but perhaps only different from humans. I was pleased with this response, but I couldn't speak concretely with him about my knowledge as he wouldn't have believed me. During our 4th meeting, I showed him my true exterior, and he was violently surprised. We eventually talked concretely about definite matters, and this was the beginning of a series of meetings that took place in the woods in his remote residence. Finally, he brought you into contact with me, and for that reason, we are now sitting here again, discussing things that might not be believed by human society.
How did all of this start? It wasn't clear in the first season. But now we understand the backstory. It's because F is willing to keep an open mind and personally understand things they don't know about, instead of just blindly following what others say, that they've had these unique experiences. Curiosity is one of humanity's most precious assets. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and turn on notifications to continue watching more exciting videos in the future.